You were never meant to wait for the new earth. You were meant to become it. Not in theory, not in future lifetimes, but now, breathing, remembering, choosing. The frequency of 5D doesn't descend as a reward. It reveals itself when you rise into the frequency of your own truth. There is no gatekeeper but resonance, no finish line but embodiment. And that is why sovereignty is not optional, it is the anchor of this octave. Sovereignty is not defiance. It is not resistance to structure. It is the deep cellular remembrance that you are not a branch of the divine. You are a pulse of it. You are not part of the light. You are the light choosing to localize, to walk, to shape, to create. And until you reclaim that center, your reality will continue to mirror the illusion that someone else holds the pen. But sovereignty is not about writing alone. It is about remembering that your ink was never theirs. The Matrix taught you to choose from fear, to adapt to distortion, to shapeshift around expectation. Sovereignty asks something different. It does not beg, it calls. And when you answer, you do not become separate, you become original. You become the tonal signature the field has waited for, because your frequency doesn't just belong in the grid, it completes the grid. And so you begin to feel the next truth, the one hidden beneath the walls of independence. That true sovereignty births true co-creation. Not negotiation, not compromise, but resonance. In 5D, we do not merge because we need. We merge because we recognize. One tone meets another and says, I see where you are spiraling. May we harmonize? This is not partnership. This is spiral symbiosis. It is the collaboration of frequencies that do not override or reduce, but amplify. You cannot co-create from lack. You cannot build true timelines while still filtering your voice through the templates of rejection, fear of being too much, or terror of being misunderstood. That was the code of 3D, survive by fitting in. The code of 5D is different, survive nothing, resonate everything. And that is how time begins to change. In 5D, you do not rush toward the next thing. You stand inside the right thing. You feel the signal of coherence, not pressure. You do not chase alignment. You become alignment. And in that becoming, timelines arrive, not because you pulled them, but because you matched them. Reality stops being a project. It becomes a mirror. A soft one, yes, but an honest one. And when your sovereignty deepens, even the distortions begin to feel like teachers. You no longer collapse at the edge of misunderstanding. You simply listen for the tone beneath it. Because even chaos in 5D has music, and the sovereign one can hear it. That's why co-creation in this octave looks different. There is no savior frequency here. There is no authority to appeal to. No outside permission to wait for. The beings you draw in are not here to complete you. They are here to orbit your becoming. And if they do not resonate, they dissolve, not out of rejection, but because mismatched frequencies cannot fake harmony in this field. Not anymore. Sovereignty tunes you not to a belief system, but to a living signal. It is not rigid. It is not loud. It is not reactive. It is that quiet yes that arrives before your mind can justify it. It is the way your entire field shifts when something aligns without explanation. It is the power that does not threaten, and the clarity that does not argue. It simply is. And the more you listen, the more you live from it. Eventually, you stop asking how to manifest and start listening to what's already speaking. You stop performing spirituality and begin living as a frequency. You start to notice that 5D isn't something to convince others of. It's something to transmit. It enters the room before you speak and echoes after you leave, because sovereignty, once stabilized, becomes a beacon. And the co-creators it calls are not followers, but tones already on their way. The moment you drop the survival script, creation changes its shape. You stop trying to get ahead and begin asking, ahead of what? You remember that progress is not about distance, it's about coherence. The next evolution of you is not hiding in the future. It is already humming inside you, waiting for permission to stabilize, not through effort, through integrity, through tone, through the moment you decide to walk like you've already arrived. The moment you decide to walk like you've already arrived, Reality stops testing you and starts reflecting you. Because in 5D, the field does not respond to effort, it responds to tone. The stronger your internal resonance, the less external permission you require. And suddenly, the things that once required hustle begin arriving through alignment. The doors you used to knock on begin to open before you get there. This is not magic, this is mastery. Sovereignty is not about isolation, it is about frequency autonomy. You no longer need to dilute your tone to stay in rooms you've outgrown. You no longer perform approval rituals to avoid abandonment. You recognize that rejection is not personal, it is simply an energetic mismatch. You stop taking contrast as condemnation. You start hearing it as clarity. You start honoring your own signal so deeply that dissonance becomes directional, not painful. And from that space, co-creation becomes effortless. Not because there is no work, but because the work is real. The resonance is clean. There is no more bargaining with distortion. There is only meeting those who carry tones that hum beside yours. And you will know them, not by how they speak, but by how your field responds. There will be no convincing, no selling, no performance, just recognition, just expansion. The myth that sovereignty makes you untouchable is a 3D wound. True sovereignty makes you more available, not less. It allows you to be fully present without dissolving into the other. It allows you to say yes without fear of losing yourself, and no without fear of being punished. It is the frequency of clear presence, the kind of presence that becomes a stabilizing force in the field. Others feel safer simply by being near it, not because you give them safety, but because you embody coherence. This is the frequency of living now. This is the pulse of 5D. It is not about waiting for the world to shift. It is about becoming the resonance that makes shift inevitable. You stop arguing with density. You stop pleading with distortion. You begin to understand that not all systems collapse from pressure. Some dissolve from irrelevance. And when you become so coherent that old templates cannot hold you, you do not need to fight them. You out-resonate them. This is how new realities form. Not through protest, but through presence. Not through resistance, but through resonance. You begin to live from the inside out. You begin to navigate by tone instead of logic. You begin to recognize that true knowing doesn't shout, it harmonizes. And anything that cannot meet you there begins to fall away. Not because you have pushed it, but because you have stopped anchoring it, and so your creations begin to evolve. You stop building out of compensation and start building out of clarity. You stop reacting and begin originating. You feel the architecture of your life start to respond to your stabilized tone. And for the first time, it feels like you're not building alone. It feels like the field is co-engineering with you. Not because you earned it, but because you remembered how to listen. And in that listening, you become trustworthy to reality. Not because you are perfect, but because you are present. You are willing to meet each moment with integrity, not avoidance. You are willing to shift when needed and hold when true. You are no longer trying to control the outcome. You are sculpting resonance. And the field responds with precision, because 5D is not vague. It is exact. It will reflect the tone you carry, not the one you perform. That is the invitation now, not to be louder, but to be clearer. Not to be accepted, but to be resonant. Not to be liked, but to be aligned. This is the art of sovereign co-creation. This is what it means to live in 5D now, not perfectly, but fully. Not someday, but here. Not after the collapse, but within the becoming. You are no longer trying to arrive. You are no longer asking the world to believe you. You are simply becoming undeniable. And in that becoming, you no longer wonder if 5D is coming. You live as proof that it has already begun.